welcome to episode 2 of the weekly Dead Friend Redemption podcast. Hope everyone's well. Got myself, John, and we've got Hamish back again. How you doing?
We're more ghosts than people.
How you been? You right? All good?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to this.
Good. So week 2. So first of all, before we get on what the topic, just want to say a massive shout out to everyone who's voted, the comments, and particularly Cooper as well. So I know you've mentioned on the YouTube comment, so it's really good thoughts, and we was already halfway through writing this, but definitely be planning the next couple of weeks. So really appreciate your feedback. It's always brilliant. And obviously everyone from your voting and your feedback has been really good. It's good to hear obviously what we're going to be working on. It's definitely be working on the next couple of weeks, getting some of your ideas. So thank you first of all. This week we're going to be working, just kind of chatting around sort of character review, and we're going to be looking over some of the main characters that were in Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Predominantly 2 though. How's that sound, Hamish? Good?
Yeah, great.
Cool. So we're just going to be assessing some of the characters, having just your initial thoughts. How did they change, for the good, for the bad, and just sort of like an overall review of them. So I know that everyone's mentioned really character review is what everyone wants, but we're going to be doing a longer episode later with some of the actual characters a bit more in depth, but it's just going to be a general overall review. So I think without further ado, I think we need to start with the main man, don't we? The main man of Red Dead 2.
Yes, yeah,
Arthur?
Micah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. It's always going to be different, won't it? So,
yeah.
Do you want to start with the good or the bad or the ugly? Which one?
I guess first impressions.
Yep. First impressions of which character?
Oh, sorry, Arthur. Definitely Arthur.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Arthur.
your initial impressions. So we mentioned in episode 1, you first of all initially hated him. You didn't like him.
Yeah.
So first impressions, what are your thoughts? Talk about the character.
Absolute scumbag. That whole first 1.5 chapters is just horrible, isn't it? I was enjoying playing as him, but didn't really. Yeah, especially the money lending missions. It was horrible, beating up everyone and and then robbing the trains and stuff. But yeah, really grew after midway through chapter 2 into chapter 3 especially. Just then all the way through. Yeah, really good.
So, I know obviously we mentioned that he was our top 1 character that we preferred, and it's going to be a lot of people, isn't it? Like they loved him out of everyone, but I think the chapter 1 wasn't that really bothered, and I didn't really, obviously I told you already. I played under Micah last time, but I wasn't really that bothered about it. But I think when he gets to chapter 2, I really enjoyed playing as Arthur, because he was more of it was a proper Western game. You're shooting everyone, you're killing everyone. For the reasons you didn't like him, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
You're grabbing the money, pushing people, punching people in the face. I really enjoyed it. I feel that was really good. That was probably my favourite part of him, what built the character. I think the downfall of obviously the illness coming through, I think that then made everyone feel sorry for him. And not that that's a bad thing, but I think it just changed your perspective. You actually was like, God, this guy has gone from real brute to, he's really suffering, but he still wants the best of everyone.
Yeah. I was just playing a couple of weeks ago, one of the last money lending missions.
Yeah.
And Roger Clark, the way he becomes so vulnerable by the end, like when you rescind the debt for the coal miners' family, like he's died, and just the way his voice breaks when he says "I'm sorry," and he's not even talking really about her, but just not specifically them, but just everyone he's wronged. It's heartbreaking when you hear that, when you hear his voice there. Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's if you do say sorry. Not every character says sorry at that point, do they?
No. I think you probably would have shot him, wouldn't you? Yeah.
If I could, he was a cutscene. Go for the kid first. It's just mad how it changed. And I think if you look at, we'll come on to John a little bit later, but the comparative between him and John is just massive. That you've gone from a character of being alongside Dutch the whole way, being loyal, and I think loyalty is a really positive trait for him throughout. And he was loyal for the good reasons, not a loyal rat, if you know. Yeah.
Almost to a fault, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think even on mission 1, obviously you go when all of you guys are riding out, and he Dutch says to him that he's questioning his decisions already. Where you think, the number of times Dutch has reassurance for him to say, "Oh, you are. If you always got my back, you've always got my side. You're always with me." And
Yeah,
I
well,
think it's that built out.
they're already hinting at like a bit of a tension between Hosea and John and Arthur with Dutch. Like when they were carrying out the Blackwater heist, Arthur and Hosea had their own thing, so it was already like they were getting fed up with Dutch's antics,
Yeah.
and yeah, they just continued through this one.
So what part of? So you've mentioned obviously chapter 2, chapter 3 wasn't that fan. What made you start changing then? What made you start really really start
Well,
thinking that this is?
I mean, his relationship with the gang, you start really feeling invested in with everyone's relationships, don't you? The way he is with Sean, the way he kind of like he looks after Lenny, almost like as a role model. Like you see, like Lenny looks up to him, even Sean looks up to him a little bit, and the way Arthur looks up to Hosea. It's a real great community. I think that's one of the best things about this game, which I can't think of any other game that's come close to this, is that you are really part of a gang. Like, it's not just cutscenes or these AI companions which just shoot alongside you. Like, you live with them, you know, you sleep by them, you eat with them, you know, all them chat. I like, every time I play, I'm spending at least, 10 minutes at the start or near the end where I'm chatting in the gang, just seeing what everyone's talking about. I think that really helped me get invested in all the characters, but especially Arthur.
No, that's a good point. So
I suppose.
I don't often do that. I don't often spend that time. Yeah, it's more of with the gang. And I know you've put loads of clips on there around sort of random discussions and things that have come out. Like you mentioned the last one about Micah's brother. Would have never known those small facts, and it's just it builds to his character more. But I think if you just through playing it, you can see that he went from a well-forced brute going forward to really trying to turn around and thinking about his decisions.
Yes.
I think the moment that really turned for me was when I should have seen the nun, but I saw the priest. Obviously, the bit when you're getting in chapter 6, and I think that's where it was. You could see his like downfall coming. I think at that point I just realised that he was just what a character. And I know that's really late, and I loved him all the way through chapter 2, chapter 3, and it was brilliant. But at that point, I just thought this is what a character they've made. It's just incredible. It's just out of this world. It's gone full circle. You've gone from hard hitting to you actually feel bad. You feel so sorry for him that he's so bad and he's trying to do well. He's trying to do good.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It's really tragic. It's which I mean, we keep thinking about games, but it's almost unfair to compare this to any other game. You got to compare it to like some of the greatest films, like just that character development. It is a real character study. Like there's a whole arc to it. That's fascinating.
I think Roger Clark did amazing as well, didn't he? So well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's superb. He should be in so much more. But,
I think he just quite enjoys it. Just I don't know. I haven't ever seen him in anything. I haven't really heard him in anything else as well. But I think he just sort of absorbed into the character. Was brilliant at it. Was really good.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned what were the pivotal moments. So obviously if we think about himself, Arthur. So TB, you can't not talk about him.
Yeah.
And that moment that changed him.
Yeah, and it was such a slow burn.
Yeah,
I remember when I first played it, because you have that exchange with Thomas Downs, and it does like a cutscene. It takes control from you, and it's a little cutscene of him riding back to the camp.
Yeah,
and there's that coughing in the background, and I never realised at the start. I didn't realise in the first playthrough that it was actually coughing. I just thought it was this weird guitar string music going on, but in the second playthrough, I was like, holy shit, you're just listening to this person choking to death. And that's going to be Arthur one day.
There are discussions that he didn't get it from him. And I know that's really off the wall, but the Hosea originally had TB and he was dying from it. And he may have got it from him, but it just seems like he obviously got it from him.
It's an interesting theory, but it's almost like it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like you can still find meaning They like he got TB, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he brutalized another man dying from TB and finished him off. It's yeah, it's an interesting theory.
And I think with the Jose thing, whether he had it or whether he didn't, I think there was nothing to prove. I know there was discussion around him understanding about different medicine he was taking, and he was coughing a lot, and he realised it was coming towards the end. Do you think they really opened up as much as they could have done? Obviously, we're moving away from Arthur, but just thinking it's just the whole TB thing. I think it was just brutal, wasn't it? It was really brutal.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what changed Arthur. If he, yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows what would have happened with the story if that wasn't the thing to drive Arthur's like real change in arc. But
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of made him.
Yeah, I think that's what made him and converted him into just being that different character. Because before he probably wouldn't have stood up to Dutch as much when he had nothing to lose. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Although he's questioned his decisions in chapter 1, he's already saying, "No, I'll always be by your side. I'm not questioning your decisions." I think it was a bit crazy, but all of a sudden, you're looking at chapter 6. It's just saying, "Well, I insist" and stuff. The classic lines where it's like, "I don't care anymore. It's over. Like, I've got to do the right of these people," where he probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah. It's interesting when Charles says it's almost a gift for Arthur. Like he knows how he's going to die, and now it's what he does with that time before. And he probably does make the most of it, like saving Abigail and John.
That's a good point. That's a good point. If we move on from Arthur, I think if we're looking at Dutch, obviously a lot of people's favourite character. Everyone loves. Yeah, we said Arthur last week, but yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. Dutch. As I said, we're going to we change regularly on it. In all fairness, but Dutch, what a pivotal character across both games. So I think if you start with Red Dead 1, so what are your thoughts on Dutch? What sort of character? How did you really assess him? Like him? Hate him?
So yeah, Red Dead 1 is very much just a one-dimensional, interesting villain. Yeah. I mean, you meet him in the bank the first time, and he's got that girl as a hostage, and she blasts her in the face and runs off. It's really horrible, and you get the sense that he's almost using the Indians for his own cause, even though you're not even sure really what his own cause is. It's all a bit vague. And they reference a lot to Red Dead 2, which is really interesting. I wonder how much they knew what Red Dead 2 was going to be, but when they were making Red Dead 1. I mean...
Do you liked him, did you, from Red Dead 1, did you?
I liked him as a plain villain, but then in Red Dead 2, he's just so much more than that. What did you think? I think he's
just think he's a strange character. Yeah, I think he... I don't want to make pivotal moments. Yeah, I think we'll come to that, but he was just a strange character. He was 1 minute he was the leader, he was doing it all, he had everything in control. I think he was in in the different chapters. There was a point where he lost it on every single one, where he lost control. He lost control of his mind. He was making decisions on a whim. He's a great character, and obviously an incredible voice actor as well. Amazing again.
Benjamin Davis is incredible.
Amazing. Great voice actor. He was really passionate as to word. And everything he went, he was. Don't know. It was similar to Arthur. But I think with Dutch it was more plain sight. You knew there was going to be a downfall. You could see from the start that he couldn't really manage it because he's got north, south, east, and west directions of everyone's against him, and there's nowhere to go. And the world's changing.
When at the very start in chapter 1, where he's almost begging the gang to stay with him, there's almost like it sounds like a bit of a guilt in his voice, like he knows he's fucked everything. When they released the trailer, I think it was the second trailer, when you finally saw the characters, that you actually saw Arthur, you saw John. They showed that scene, and I thought, like when he starts asking everyone to stay with him in the snow, I thought, that's going to be like near the end. That's how the gang falls apart. But that was right at the start. Like, this gang was not in a good spot even at the beginning, and it just progressively got worse. And the start of chapter 2, before you even do any missions in chapter 2, just walking around the camp, you bump into Dutch by his tent, and he's reading a book, and he just says to Arthur in passing, "You will betray me one day." So already at that point, he's almost psychotic. Like he's already ready to cut ties with everyone, I think.
And I don't believe the I think it's chapter 4 or was it chapter 5, myth that as soon as he hit his head, because there was a point where he hit his head, and then a lot of people say that that's when his character changed. I don't buy that. I personally think it's just a myth. If you're under that much pressure from every single angle, so you've got potentially the law, you've got different gangs, you've got inner rats, there's nowhere to really turn without much money. And you're the leader of it all to try and make those decisions. You're going to make wrong turns because you're under pressure. And I think that's where it sort of came around.
Well, and this is the thing. It's not like it's 1 year. Like he's been doing this since he was 20 years old. Like this has been his life for 20 years. That's something.
No, I agree
that's
with
something. Yeah.
I think it's a funny one with him as well. I think it was easier to see that there was going to be a downfall with him. Obviously, as I said in the last one, I hadn't played Red Dead 1, a very small amount, and he wasn't in Undead Nightmare. So I hadn't seen him, but it was quite clear even from the start that you felt that he was going to be a character who was going to be quite chaotic at the end, and you could tell there was going to be stuff that was going to go wrong.
Yes.
The ending of Red Dead 2, didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect him to get involved, and I just...
Yeah, I'm not sure if I liked that, really.
No.
It seemed a bit...
Yeah.
Very out of place. That I like in the fact that in Red Dead 1, he Dutch says to John, in the snowy mountains, we got to stop meeting like this. And then they add that in Red Dead 2, which is cool. But
That's cool.
very odd scene.
I think the pivotal moments of him, sort of Arthur and John's last moments, so Arthur and Micah's last moments, like I just think both of them, they could have been so much better. Obviously him just walking away from Arthur, and then him just shooting Micah and walking away, and you think it's been like a crescendo. It's going to be incredible. Something big's going to happen. It's just, I'm not saying it was bad. I just think it just was nothing.
It just kind of fades instead of
He walks away from both. Doesn't say a word. Walks away in both.
Yeah.
Hits Micah, walks away, doesn't say a word, and just...
I mean, I'm pretty dim, so it took me a while to realise that Dutch actually came there to kill Micah. At least that's the conclusion I've come to now. At the start, when I first played it, I thought Micah and Dutch were together, and then Dutch seeing John kind of convinces him that he fucked up. But it seems like a lot of people think, I'm not sure what your views are on this, but Dutch came to kill Micah.
Undecided. A little bit undecided, because it's, where they got the intel that they was hiding out, and it was... not too sure. I'm not too sure, really, in all fairness. I think I get what you're saying, but he was putting a gun at John about 30 seconds before he shot Micah, so is that really...
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't really help Sadie, did he? She was sitting there, just wasn't really bothered. But then he straight away was pointing the gun at Micah as well. So it's...
Yeah. I mean, but this is the thing. He doesn't trust anyone.
No.
He doesn't know John's going to shoot him. Yeah.
But then that's his problem. He's got to breaking point. His character's got to breaking point where he's had... and you would, as a normal human being, if you had that much pressure on you, that many people to feed and to survive and get rid of and be safe, in a world that is actually changing, think about the revolution that's changing. That's no longer available. You can't go running around Valentine shooting everyone's heads off. Only psychos do that. Cue me, right? So I think moving on, I think we've got... I know obviously you wanted to talk about Micah, so I think we couldn't have an episode where we could not talk. So Micah,
my favourite character.
Right, are you going to say everyone? Okay, Micah, yeah.
Again, Peter. I can't remember his surname, but the voice actor Peter something. I think
right.
Peter B. But yeah, incredible. I feel like he got better near the end. Like I think the first half he's just quite a generic bad guy, but
Yeah.
the latter half he's super manipulative.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see him getting his weeds into Dutch. Like he tries at the start, and it's he's kind of hitting a brick wall with Dutch. Like Dutch likes him, and he sees something good in him, but Dutch is keeping him at an arm's reach. But then by the time he gets to like chapter 4 and especially chapter 6,
Yeah,
it's almost like Micah's just infested Dutch's mind.
Well, he wasn't with Dutch that long. He wasn't with the gang for that long, was it? Was it 6 months
No,
before? Is
yeah,
that what it
something
said?
like that. Yeah,
Around that. So it was a short amount. Personally, I hated him from the start to end. It's just that first mission. I thought, what am I doing in Strawberry getting this guy out? Yeah, I'm killing myself, running around everywhere. And what? For what? And I'm not sure. So I did see it on YouTube, but someone. So if on that Strawberry mission, when you break him out, I realised there's 2 separate scenes you can do. So obviously you can smash him out of the jail, but also you can go in and you can kill all
just get the
kill all
keys.
the cops and get the key.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just blindly shoots the other person in the face for no
so
reason.
brutal.
And and then obviously he would go and get his guns from the other house. So
Yeah,
and I saw a video where someone had managed to see inside the house of what actually happens there. It was quite funny. So I'll check it out if you haven't seen it. It's quite funny. I just think his whole character, like I said once again, just for an actual actor, incredible. I think he couldn't be the bad guy at the start. And like you said, he grew with confidence. He grew with being the bad guy. And so when Hosea died, apparently died, from then on, what a character. It's just...
yeah.
And my most hated moment was him, was when you meet him in the old house with Bill, and then Arthur questions why he's taking orders from Micah now.
Yeah.
I hate that's where I hate him the most. That episode. It's like, Arthur was your sidekick, and now he's in the same levels as John was at the start. No one really cares.
That's it, yeah. He's just become a little soldier. Yeah.
Yep.
I tell you what, when the first few times run throughs I had of Red Dead, I really couldn't care less about Micah. I just thought he was a generic bad guy. And then I can't remember what triggered it, but I started questioning, was he really the rat? And playing through it thinking he's not the rat, it totally changed my view of the character. Because that is a valid opinion kind of thing. That's a valid theory. Because I really don't think he is the rat now. Playing it a few times now, thinking that.
Yeah.
And it makes his character even more interesting. Because he could just be a scumbag, and Arthur's chasing him and telling him, telling everyone he's the rat, and he's like, I'm not, you fucking retard, just calling him a black lung and stuff, just being nasty to him. It's yeah.
See, I think it's so obvious that he is, that everyone questions that he's not, and they state that he is, that I get what you're saying. It's so blatantly obvious that he is, that he's not. And I think that's the way Rockstar opened it, and it's just they actually tell you, no, he spoke, it's him. But then, who was before? If Micah's, because when he speaks, obviously just before Arthur kills the guy, obviously in chapter 6, as the law agent, he's like,
Milton,
he says, so what happens before that? What happened at Blackwater? What happened, other missions when as soon as they get there, the law's there. Who's talking? And
I mean, it makes sense that it's Mary. She said it herself. And what has Milton got to gain by telling the truth moments before he dies, or moments before he thinks he's going to kill Arthur?
I just think it's that initial, he's in his head already. So why wouldn't he just say something just to cause even more confusion? But then, as I said, I personally think Micah is a really different theory I've got. Arthur's the rat. I'm joking, of course he's not. But it's, I still think Bill has got something to do with it. Bill, and also you think of Pearson, how is he just scot-free at the end? Doesn't get a mention anywhere. Just walks off, has his own
Yeah, and
shop.
he does. Yeah, and he just stays in the middle of it all. Doesn't even move location really.
Nothing. He's
Yeah,
in Rhodes at the end, just chilling. Got his own shop, no stress. No one's coming at him. What do
yeah,
you think of
yeah, and yeah. Actually, that is a very good point because the agents don't even send John to go after him in
nothing?
Red Dead One.
It's a strange one. Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
obviously Micah was. I think Micah, you could dedicate a whole episode to around discussing around himself
Oh
and
yeah.
what a character. I think if we can, I think if we can't not, if we're talking about characters, we can't not talk about John.
Yes.
So I think he's very polarizing, John. And if you haven't played Red Dead 1, for myself, a lot of people don't like him.
Mm.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people, and if you think about Red Dead 2 when it first came out, he was probably the most excited to see him. So obviously he was
Yes.
thinking about character and thinking about how he was, and I just think the epilogues ruined him. I think his epilogue 1 was so bad. I just think that deflated the character. I think if it was 2 epilogues of epilogue 2, where you didn't have to do all the bit back to normal, where it was more, he's got himself settled. Yeah. They could do a cutscene of him in a video of him doing all that stuff. I get it. He wanted to be slower, but the epilogue should have been 4 chapters then. It shouldn't have been 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean because it seemed like they really wanted us to feel the monotony of John's like new life, and you wanted like almost like you wanted that empathy for him. So then when he finally does put on his new gear, his like OG Red Dead 1 outfit, you get all that excitement, which you did get, but it did take a long time, and it's awful on replays to do. It's hard because it's weird. Red Dead 1 was such a legendary, like he was one of the best characters ever made at that point. Like especially the ending was just heartbreaking, and it was such a legacy. And then you see snippets of him in the trailers, you're like, holy shit, he's in it. And then for the first like 30 hours, he's just a piece of crap. Like
It's dog's body, isn't he?
he's absolutely at the bottom of the pile. The character that you're growing to love, Arthur, is just nasty as hell to him all the way through. Like there's very little to redeem about John, and John's just horrible to Abigail, and he starts refuting that he's even the father of Jack, which I actually think Arthur's the dad, but we'll get onto that another time. But yeah, it's such a big step down when you finally take control of him after spending 70 hours with Arthur. It does, it's a hard transition playing with him again.
So I think I agree with you all the way. So when he hands over the hat to him and says, and you think this is it, you know, I mean, okay, cool, like things are going to get mad now. I did play I know before too. So I did play Undead Nightmare before I played it, and I loved it. And I thought he was a great character. He was a bit psycho. He was didn't really care. He was a gunslinger, running around shooting everyone. I was really looking forward to that. I felt you're right. He was a bit rubbish all the way through. He was, like you said, he was just a dog's body. No one really liked him. No one really cared for him, apart from Arthur, who grew to like him, who hated him in chapter 1 and 2, because obviously he walked away. You know, what was he doing for that time when he was away? And that whole time he wouldn't stop going on about it, would they?
Yeah. It's almost like brotherly rivalry, weren't there?
Yeah. But I think if I think about John, the biggest thing that sticks out for me is, you know, he sort of replicated Dutch around sort of how he treated Jack was how Dutch sort of treated him. So you could feel it was more like tough love. Go and get on with it. You know, you're a kid. Don't even want to see you. Where you think of definitely epilogue 1 when he tried to change to actually be a good dad and tried to just spend more time with him. I think because he felt he's out of the loop now. He's out of the gang. I can be a man. I can be a proper person. I think you can see that's how he changed. Before he didn't really care. It was sad.
Yeah. I get that's it. Like Arthur's was a slow, tragic arc, wasn't it? But John's whole arc is just a brutal arc. Like, he finally finds peace with his family, then he's like taken away, and he finally comes back at the end of Red Dead 1. He's finally rebuilding relationships, and then is again just, but not even again, just brutally finished off. It's proper Western story there. It's nasty.
I think, like you said, that's more of a sharp arc. It's more of a. I think everyone can see it. So you get into like chapter 3, chapter 4, and you get to see like the marks on his face with Arthur, and you can think, okay, coughs every so often. Chapter 5, you get to, and it's like, okay, cool, right, it's over. Like there's no way he's going to survive it. I think people are ready because they even if you hadn't played Red Dead 1, you knew he's not there, and he had to die.
Yeah.
But you knew John would survive, and I think it was. But you're right. Just the curve in Red Dead 1, it was like you have to kill everyone, and you're going to get killed anyway, and it's just.
And when I played that when I was 12 years old, it was always this is a video game. You kill everyone, you get to live. There was never a game I played where the character you played as 20 hours dies. Like, there's no way you're going to survive it. It really crushed me.
And I think if we're going to move on to, so obviously Red Dead 3, and sort of we've got an episode lined up to discuss around ideas and suggestions, and thinking just a theorem. Obviously, we'll probably talk about is that the way they're discussing, so the way the games are played out. So Red Dead 1, your main character, he dies, you play as Jack. You play Red Dead 2, you play as Arthur, he dies, you play as John. It would make a lot of sense if you playing a character who's completely unknown and you ending as Arthur.
Yes.
More like the Blackwater. You're running around, so just before that heist, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, them two brothers that died at that heist.
Yep.
Yeah, it would make sense to be one of them or both of them, wouldn't it?
But then how would you do the open world bit afterwards? That's the only bit. I don't think they're going to give us the Blackwater heist, personally. I don't think they will.
Do you know what? Again, we're going to do a proper detailed episode of Red Dead 3, but I'd love it if we played as Dutch. I would love that so much.
I think you would be probably the second character might be Dutch, but then you'd have to be if they match it how they would, it would be Arthur. That's how they'd match it. But as we said already in episode 1 of this podcast, that I hope they don't do that 3 character thing of I'm Dutch 1 minute, I'm Arthur, and I'm John, because they might think everyone loves them all. We're Sadie for a minute, and then no one wants that. Nobody.
No.
Stay. GTA love that. Leave that community there. Leave it with them. We're cool playing as one character.
That's it.
He gets brutally murdered, and then we're another character.
That's it.
You are right. He could be one of those brothers, but I just don't see how they would link that. I just don't think we'll ever see the Blackwater heist. You never see it because it wouldn't make sense. Because how would they get away, and then how would you be in the open world afterwards? Unless you're
the only way I could see it is
Charles.
Maybe with all the changes that's happened to Rockstar over the last few years, there's rumours that they're never going to do a big game like Red Dead 2 again, where it's 70, 80 hours for a one playthrough, and that's not even 100% completion. That's just the story.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that anymore. Apparently, it's going to be almost like the online approach for the single player, where it's 20 hours, and then a year later they add another 20 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like frequent,
continuous payment.
Yeah. So
it's like an annual.
So if they was to just 10 hours where you play as the Blackwater heist or like the build up to it, and then it just leads on where they package it all with Red Dead 2 and the remake of Red Dead 1 kind of thing, but they add it in like 3 different parts year by year in like 3-year span or something. I don't know, that's probably a bit too much of a speculation, but
problem is they haven't even written a script.
Well,
we're speculating.
We do not know that.
Not that we know.
I'm sure they've got a rough idea,
but that's not defined.
No.
So we haven't. They haven't even sent a trailer out for the next GTA, and we're hoping for if they even do a Red Dead 3, and like people have already mentioned, it may not be called it. It may be something completely different. It may be a different line.
I will never forget. I won't be able to continue this life if they do not explain the Blackwater Massacre. I need to see it.
I-
I need to play
I
it.
don't think they will.
That
I think it makes sense for them.
That's
to do it.
unforgivable. They've
So-
made 2 games hyping up that moment.
So it comes back to the Game of Thrones.
Ah.
So they might hype up all the way up to season 8, and what happens is a crescendo of shit, and nothing happens. And I probably would rather not. I'd probably just build up to it and then have a DLC of it, because
Yeah.
there's no character. There's no character or will be, because as soon as they do the heist, they all run off into the snow, and then that character, you can't then be the open world. So even as Jack, you get to roam the open world. With John, you roam the open world. If you're Red Dead 3 and it goes into that, there's no character to roam the open world, so they wouldn't do it unless it's a character who
Well, I
who you
mean,
don't know of.
one of the was it one
Like
of the
Sadie,
brothers
for
was
example.
captured by Milton, and he said that he killed
Yeah.
him. But I mean, we didn't see that.
No. No,
Again,
it's-
it's speculation.
Yeah. So I think we're going to probably close it there, guys. So I think it was good discussions talking about different characters. I think it was good just to have an overall view. So in the coming episodes, we're going to have designated, detailed discussions specifically around characters. And I think this episode was just obviously just to get to know a little bit more about us, around our thoughts about the characters are as well. So first of all, so thank you all. If you've got this far again, thank you for listening. Please make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us. So we are looking to get these out on Spotify and Apple as well. We are going to be posting it on YouTube and TikTok like we have already, which is thank you already for your comments. Get your suggestions in for the next one. So shout outs to anyone who's commenting in, and we'll try and discuss just some of your thoughts and discussions that we're put into them as well. But we'll hold it there.